I don't know where I'm going from here, but
I promise it won't be boring. I'm Architect Karan Anand introducing you to Season 3, Episode 6 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design. Brought to you by our brand partners Hybec, Kitchen Studio and Turquoise. Today we have with us the absolutely incredible Kalyani, a businesswoman, entrepreneur, mother, curator of art and everything in between. And her life is definitely anything but boring. Hi Kalyani, so nice to have you here.
Anything but boring. Thank you so much for having me, Karan. I think I've had such an interesting journey, a very unique and unusual one. I have done, I think, 7 lifetimes people don't manage to achieve. I'm not being pompous about it. I think it's just very fortunate, and I've jumped from one thing to the other, as you know. I think I've had the most amazing opportunities, but there were great risks involved.
Yeah.
And that is something I've done from a very young age. I've taken on the risks with the opportunities that came my way. And most of the time, nobody does that. You know, we are all so scared sometimes of, not sometimes, most times, about taking risks. And I really feel that if you don't want to change, there is no progress. And I get bored very easily, so I'm always multitasking and doing like 5 things at the same time. And I've somehow managed to do the multitasking well. Like my father asked me like once, many years ago, he's saying, what exactly are you doing? Because you have spread yourself so thin, you know? And I mean, he's a businessman. My grandfather was a pioneer in his business in India, etc. And they are so focused on that one thing, like all normal people actually. I'm like, but Dad, what am I not doing okay? Maybe I'm doing 3-4 things at that time, but I said, what do you think I'm not doing okay? The minute I feel that I'm not doing something okay, I cut my losses and shut it down, you know, and I have done it with businesses I've invested in, maybe lost a lot of money, but I've shut because I didn't want to, you know, but I've always given it a chance. I think that is something that I feel has been one of my strengths, to take on the risk, to fight it out and kind of make a success out of it. Also, I don't take on something I don't think I can do.
Okay.
I ran 4 magazines for Indian Express, and I'm not sure whether...
At the age of 22.
Yeah, nice homework. Let's not talk about the age bit though after this, okay?
Yeah, we'll stop.
I'm mentally still there. But yeah, so who knew anything about publishing or about how to run magazines? It's like a different ball game altogether. But I took it on because this, at that time, Manik Dawar, who was looking after Sterling newspapers, was 4 very diverse magazines. He said, you write so well, I'm sure you'll manage, and more about like marketing, etc., which was always my core. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll get you the advertising bit, but I can't report. But I said, no, but you know what, I want to do it. And I did it. And wow, it was like, I don't know, it's like sometimes I feel it's an outer body experience. You know, how did I do that?
It's crazy, it's unbelievable. So you collect art, you curate art. So what is this end? Like, just talk to me about it, because when we did our research on it, we just couldn't put a finger on the multiple facets of things you're doing in regards to it.
So, you know, again, growing up in Calcutta, I grown up with art. My mother went to Shantiniketan and she was like a Tagore student. I mean, Shantiniketan is the only place they have Nandalal Bose frescoes. I've been there. We have a home there, and this is the kind of my childhood. You know, and I remember my father was actually, he's more into like Western classical music. My mother's into Indian classical music. He loves art, Western art. My mother loves Indian art. So, you know, I've had that exposure since I was a kid. There were books in our home. There were discussions. It was crazy, And I remember this Van Gogh painting, the sunflower actually, which I loved. So my father was traveling and he got me back. It was a poster from some museum, he'd got it. And he actually asked my mom to frame it and just like surprise me with it. And you know, these are the joys of life, you know, that we had. And also had Al Pacino next to my bedside table like he was my boyfriend. But that's another story. But you know, so it's just that we were exposed to this. I mean, there were conversations, there were not coffee table books that we didn't know what that meant at that time. There were books you read. Okay. So you know, stuff like that. My father was fascinated with Van Gogh and his life, and he has had just like Picasso, etc. So you know, these were conversations. I'm so fortunate actually to have inherited the kind of art I have. My 40th birthday, my parents gave me a Tagore, and I mean Rabindranath Tagore, which is hanging in my house since I remember, you know, and that painting means.
You have a Tagore hanging in your house? Amongst many others.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Gaganendranath, Abanindranath, and...
Do you have a good security system at home?
Okay, don't put ideas into people's head.
My head, it's come, it's for me.
No, I mean, you know, so it's just, I feel it's just something which was always there, something that I took for granted. I mean, all these Jamni Roys I have. I mean, it's just that art has always been a part of my life, and I've very fortunate to have inherited a lot of art from my parents. I have a really nice Bengal art collection. So when I was separated, my daughter was she was really tiny. She was barely 2 years old. So my mother used to come from Calcutta to look after me and basically Tahira, and I'm so grateful for that support, because otherwise I don't know how I would have had a career. So you know, this is the thing, my parents say, no, do what you have to do, and we are here to support you. So my mom used to go back to Calcutta, my father say, where are you? What are you doing? Where's Tahira? I'm sending your mother back. I said, you know, Dad, like, she's just gone back. It's fine. I'm managing. It's okay. So it's just that I've had that support, so I could kind of have that career trajectory which I've had, which is amazing. And art has something that my mother was so interested in. So when she was coming to Delhi and spending so much time in Delhi with Tahira and me, I had opened a little boutique meanwhile in Calcutta, which was actually the guard's room. So I used to pick up things when I was in Madras from the south, things that you don't get in Calcutta. It was the only lifestyle store, kind of. And then there are these young artists who came from Artseeker in West Bengal. So the government, there's a residency program, okay? And now it's much bigger and more organized. But they came and they're saying, Didi, will you keep some paintings? I said, yeah, sure. And there were these young, struggling artists, and my mother, I mean, you know, being, you know, always interested in the arts, and she really had huge knowledge, you know. I just pretend I know, I don't. But she had knowledge. And she said, yes, come. And then when I was in Delhi, they came, and actually my mom said, why don't we have an exhibition for them? And we had an exhibition for them in Delhi. I had 98 paintings. I sold 97. I kept the 98th because I wasn't going to say it wasn't sold on the preview. And they were good works, and of course a lot of my friends were well priced, they bought, and it was so encouraging. And I wanted to tell my mom, business, let's do this. So that's how Montage Arts was born. And we used to have these annual exhibitions at the Oberoi, and it was, one room was just dedicated to Bengal art. Because my mother said, nobody understands Bengal art the way we, I mean, this I'm talking about many years of, like 28, 29 years ago. And let's, you know, so she really was passionate about this, you know, about Bengal art. It was easier then, not so easy now. Firstly, authenticity, provenance, this, that. So obviously having the kind of contacts we did with old families in Bengal, in Calcutta, Bengal, and of course, you know, a lot of the artists who were friends. So we really did, like, even contemporary artists, but and masters. But of course, one also sold a Sousa, or one also sold, etc. We had a physical gallery which became, it was beautiful, but it became very difficult for me to manage so much after a while. My mom felt very sick, so I kind of shut down the physical gallery, but of course I source for art still, for private collectors.
That's amazing. And also, you know, when you talk about art, say 30 years back or 40 years back, I think that's very important because I feel like as humanity, right, post 1990s, right, most of the there's no great art movement that's ever come after that. It's like, I mean, I saw this in a movie, Fight Club, where he says that, you know, we are all white collar slaves, and why has nothing been created post the 1990s? There's been no great war, none of that. And I feel like the fact that you have managed to grasp onto this culture of collecting art, understanding it, curating it, is extremely important because of these efforts with you and many others, right? Art is now finally being revived. It's not just plagiarism where you know, take a print and you put it on a wall, which was the trend for a very, very long time. So it's very beautiful that you've gotten into this journey and you're pushing and promoting it in these various
I'm actually
facets.
Passionate about art,
it's
you know,
beautiful,
and it's just, I think I'm kind of veered towards contemporary art, and I love what all these, you know, galleries are doing now. Look at the work, and
It's
look
incredible.
at someone like Kiran Nadar. I mean, what she does. I mean, she solely, I think, completely owns the art market now, and it's just so lovely to see that. You know, but we need a few more Kiran Nadars, you know.
We need a lot more.
Yeah, so I think, but what she's doing is incredible, and I'm sure there will be. And in fact, I mean, the Ambanis have their whole art section as well, which they're doing amazing international, you know, and really like amazing, like the wallpaper thing with Lawrence that curated, etc. He's done a few actually, but you know, they're getting the best. So I think there needs to be, I just feel more, you know, and then of course that many years ago, you know, when Christie's came in, for example, so how Indian art, you know, the Southeast Asian market became so important, you know, with the recent one where the Hussain, which was bought by the Grenada Museum, of course, went at a record-breaking price, you know. It's a very interesting time. You know, I was bargaining with a client today, you know, but please, can I get a discount? You know, the markets are down. I said, darling, I don't know which market you're talking about, because if you read the newspapers, art is at an all-time high right now, you know. So it's really interesting what's happening with Indian art, because even our masters, unfortunately, is still not kind of getting there like maybe the European masters. You know, the pricing, the recognition, So I think this is the time where people like, you know, whether it's the Ambanis or Kiran Nadar, they need to kind of propel this, which they are in the kind of work they are doing.
It's being revived heavily.
It is.
In fact, when I was studying architecture, you know, we were introduced to all the art movements, Surrealism, Suprematism, Bauhaus, de-Stage, all of that. And we would look at images of it, right? But it would never strike us how beautiful this work is. And then I went to Copenhagen on a trip and I walked into this art gallery thinking, you know, what could it be? And then I saw Monet for the first time in my life. And I kid you not, I was staring at it for over an hour, just standing there. And I was very young, and it just transformed my entire life. That one piece of art, you know. And I feel like it is so relevant to everybody who's growing up, who's studying art, culture, or anything. It doesn't need to just be an artistically inclined profession. And this really, really works, and it's beautiful.
So, you know, when my daughter was growing up and we used to travel during summer, and I still remember when she was probably about 9 years old, and we were in New York, and she said, Mama, can we please not go to another museum? So, and I'm like, darling, we just 20 minutes, right? She said, Mama, it's never 20 minutes. You'll spend half the day. And it's so funny because I've taken her from museum to museum to museum, and cut to when she had to choose what she wanted to do in college. She said, I want to do art history. And I'm like, what?
Crazy.
You know, and my mother was like, she was like, oh my God, because this. She would have loved the fact that today she works at a gallery in London and doing such amazing work. And so I think it's kind of when it's ingrained in us, because I thought she'll do fashion or whatever, but she of course graduated at Court Hall, which is one of the best.
My mom showed me the Orangery. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Monet's garden, Orangery.
Orangery.
Yeah,
Yes,
Orangery.
yes,
She showed
yes,
me.
yes.
I saw a garden,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
You know, like it was like, yeah. So I'm forever grateful for these
Yes,
experiences.
yes, yeah,
And
we should
human
be.
beings need it more.
Yes.
I feel like if you're responsible for a younger human,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right.
No,
this
because
thing.
children are like sponges.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
kind of absorb, and it all stays in the recesses
Yeah.
of your mind somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you have to be really careful around children sometimes. Because I think they are a product of their upbringing.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah, I completely
agree.
Yeah. Tell me, like how did this all lead to your tryst with fashion and interior design? Like how did it all sum up to now this? Like, because there's so much that has happened and now you're here.
I think fashion's always been a part of my life. My grandmother, just
Yes.
telling you stories. I mean, since I was a kid. Even in school, my school uniform, like it had to be like, I used to like tell my mom, like, no, this is a bit crushed, and she would like always say, yes, it is. Okay, give it to me. And she'd like take the iron and like, we had these pleated skirts for sports. So of course it was meant to be till the knee, but mine was never till the knee. It was 6 inches above the knee. It was always like I was very particular from a very young age, and I think it's just ingrained in me. So fashion has always been like part of that, and I love wearing saris because that's what I grew up around me. But I also always had beautiful Western clothes. My parents traveled, my grandparents traveled. So, like they always got back clothes because it's the only thing I wanted apart from magazines. Then I exported, as you know, fashion accessories for so many years, and of course Dior. So Dior was a culmination.
And
we come
Lulu
to
and
that,
Sky.
and then I did Lulu and Sky. But fashion's always been there. Art, I have grown up with. My parents, they used to take us to all these museums. That's what he did on Sundays, like we in India don't have the museum going culture at all, and now we have all these beautiful museums like, KNMA, Karan Anand's museum, which is also the big one coming up. It's so exciting. And NMACC is doing so much over here, the Ambani. So there's just so much of cultural things happening now. But these sort of things always happen in Delhi, of course, but I grew up in Calcutta. But there was a lot, like there were plays. Like I did a lot of plays. We were talking about Shakespeare and stuff like that. And I did theatre, and I was like, we went to watch in Rabindra Sadan, which was right next to my house. So we went to watch, plays taking place in Rabindra Sadan. So it was always, we've grown up with this. See, we didn't have anything. We had Krishi Darshan on television.
Exactly.
So, there was very little. So we used to get television. If you went up on the antenna, that little boy that used to go up and adjust the antenna and get Dhaka television. So we used to watch American series from there. Like I Love Lucy. Oh my God, what a character! And all those like Bionic Man, and oh my God, I really sound ancient. Yeah.
No, I've seen all of this.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, I have all the old school movies, everything. That's so, like, even when I have conversations with my team members or whatever, I'm like, oh, have you seen Cooking Express? Or have you seen this? Or have you seen that? And they're like, what? And they're like, which year? I'm like, am I that old? Like, but this is just, I feel like this is just so culturally relevant that there is no time to see it, right? You must watch it even today.
Yeah.
Like, even a film like Pulp Fiction is something that most people I speak to now have not watched, so watching these films, I think that it's dwindling, the entire culture of doing it is dwindling, so it's a breath of fresh air when you're bringing these things up. So you're definitely not ancient, and you do not sound ancient. It is really relevant to where we are in our society today.
I mean, books was such a huge part, and my parents, they made me read Mopasa and stuff. Like may not have made much sense then, but we reread books then. My parents took me like Satyajit Ray films, for example. We watched all of them. So that was the time we went to the Globe Cinema and watched all these amazing films. And also Calcutta is a little bit, I think we've always been a little bit more intellectually stimulated. Like all of us grew up with all this, so it wasn't anything unique. But also that at a time where there was no other distractions like social media, there was no mobile phones, so you just had basically Krishi Darshan, and then some Hindi movies used to come, I think, once a week. My parents would not allow me to watch it because it was apparently
Pulp Fiction.
No, it was kind of vulgar because there were all these kind of rape scenes and all that. So they later understood as in what kind of weird nonsense is this? So I hadn't watched Sholay for like, and my friends were like, you haven't watched Sholay? So this friend of mine who had a DVD player, and that was like the best thing ever. But then I used to interrupt and start talking so much, and that was, I think I haven't, okay, this is blasphemous, I know. I still haven't watched that movie in its entirety.
Which was Sholay?
Because the
It's a long movie.
The DVD would be put on pause. Yeah.
Well, this story is beautiful, and it is bringing back so many memories of my own childhood here because of all the reading. I mean, when you spoke about reading Guy de Maupassant, I read Lord Jim in my 9th standard, and I'm rereading it now because at that point of time I thought I understood it, but I didn't.
Don't.
And my mom is so happy now because she's like, she had it in her course and she didn't read it at that point of time, and she's a voracious reader. So these are such beautiful stories that you're sharing. I actually have goosebumps.
Aww.
It's lovely. Thank you so much. And your mom owned an art gallery, right? And your grandmother was a fashionista.
Yes.
And I think your mother wanted you to be a doctor at some point of time, right? So all of these experiences and influences, how did it like shape you getting to where you are? I'm really curious to know about that. Like, what was the journey like?
You can't win an argument with me. So my father used to always say, either you'll become a lawyer or a politician. I was very interested actually in being a lawyer, definitely not a politician, but it was too much to go through. In terms of academics, I'm like, I was in this rush to just like do the basics, get on, earn a living, like be independent, like being financially independent for me from a young age was super important. We never got pocket money. I had to earn everything. If I tell you stuff, I'm going to sound ancient, which I probably am. I feel like a dinosaur, but I used to get like 1 rupee. But that 1 rupee used to get me a Coke, puchkas outside school, and jhalmuri. So these 3 things. The Coca-Cola was so precious at that. We had thumbs up before Coca-Cola came in. So 1 thumbs up, jhalmuri and puchka. That was it, And of course, I stole money from my mother's purse, which she pretended she didn't know. But yeah,
You all done it.
Yeah. And how much did we steal? Like 2 rupees. So it was the sweet, innocent days, and I think I grew up at a time where we had so little exposure. We had so little knowledge of, of course, I come from a family who's gone, my parents were like all the time traveling. And my dad especially, while I was growing up, and my grandparents, my grandmother, which I will come to. She was a character. Both my grandmothers. I mean, they've shaped my life.
I'm very curious to know about them.
My grandparents actually have really shaped my life and made me who I am today. Kalyani Saha. She took her middle name Rani very seriously. Yes. And my beautiful Nani, my maternal grandmother, she was so beautiful. The Marlene Dietrich hairstyle, neat sindoor in her hair. She used to have this situation, like with a sindoor, so it was a straight line. It was like very fascinating. It was old school, And her lal par Bengali saris, and she was just gorgeous. She was this typical Indian beauty, but an Indian Bengali woman, in the kitchen, looking after her family. She was an amazing cook. I was so happy when my parents traveled, and like Nani used to come and stay with us to look after, babysit us. Best tiffin for school, otherwise it was awful. So and then so I'm a very traditional Indian girl at heart, And I think I get that from my Nani, who's also superbly intelligent. And she, in the afternoon, she didn't speak much. I didn't get that from her. But she used to kind of sit and edit. My grandfather's, he used to be a very apolitical writer. He was also part of the freedom fight. So very, very patriotic, very patriotic. I've seen luminaries, where growing up, they were in the house all the time. My grandfather used to write a lot, and she used to very silently, they had this whole pact, so she used to, in the afternoon after lunch, she'd sit with her little pan and, sit and edit, kind of, with a little pencil which she used to sharpen. It was so quaint now to think about it, such precious days. My grandfather, who was a pioneer businessman, so I get that business side from him, always encouraged me when I finally not ran off, but with permission, from Calcutta to Madras, my first job at Oberoi, to set up the Trident Hotel. I was in marketing. He's the one, my parents were hysterical. We don't know anyone in Madras. I said, think about it, that's why I've chosen Madras, yes. And he's the one who said, let her go, let her explore and do what she wants to do. And, my grandparents were so progressive. My grandmother, my dadi, she was this fashionista. She only wore saris, but she had these guys coming from all over the country with these woven saris from the south, from Benares. It was fascinating. But, we kind of grew up with this, so I didn't think about it, but now to think back, wow, that was something, And she used to travel, and I used to tell her, just get me back fashion magazines, and she used to create. And then we had a permanent tailor actually in the house, thanks to her. And we used to go to buy the fabrics from AC Market down the road, and we used to get imported fabric there, and then cutouts from Vogue and stuff to make the dresses. And this is it's just so cool. She used to get me jeans, and then she made me cut out borders from her sari to put it on the a panel on my jeans. When I think back, how cool was that? I'm talking about decades ago.
Yeah, at that time when none of this
was... It was so cool. I come from a family which always encouraged ideas. Yeah. Always encouraged, saying, yes, try it. Why not? They were encouraging me to do so many other things, and I did. I was I think at the end of the day, I was a Jane of all trades and master of none. But play the piano, play tennis, play this, play that, sports, really encouraging me.
But that amounts to so much inevitably, right?
Inevitably. So it wasn't, but of course, education was very important, but it wasn't you have to get 100% in everything. Obviously, they wanted me to get 100%, except math, which was I used to pray. There's only time I prayed, please, no red marks. Till today, I can't count 2 + 2, but that's another story. But, I think I was just encouraged to be me. I was just encouraged, you want to go to Madras to set up a Trident Hotel, whatever that is, okay, go, whatever. Yeah. So, it was like that. My grandparents came and they would come and stay with me, so I used to stay in the hotel, and they were come and stay. They were so proud of me, and then used to go up to Pondicherry, and, I still remember, walking down the seaside. It was just memories. But I was never put under this pressure that you have to be a certain way. Yeah. And you have to learn how to cook and do needlework, which I'm really good at, by the way, and get married. Yeah. I got married a few times. They were oh, you're not happy? Just come back home.
These chilies aren't for this conversation, just letting you know.
Shubh shubh bolo. But honestly, so I think I am who I am because of this.
That's amazing. Let's take a break from this very, very interesting conversation and play a little game, okay? Okay, I'm going to give you those headphones which are right there, and they're going to play some beautiful music for you. And I'm going to mouth a word, and you have to guess it. If you guess it right, you don't get to have this shot. If you guess it wrong, you have to have one of these not so tasty shots. Okay, so let's start.
Let's go.
Decor.
Tagore. Techno.
You were super close though. So I said decor, you said Tagore.
That was close.
Okay,
so
that's close. Okay, fine.
Shot.
Yeah, you can have half a shot. Trident.
Tragedy.
Trident. Your hotel. Trident.
My talent.
Your.
My title. I'm loving this music.
Modern.
Modern.
Yeah.
Modern.
Yes. Well done. Well done. Bronze.
Bronze?
Yes.
Can you be a little bit like bronze?
Bronze. Okay. You have to get this one, okay? Jamini Roy.
Charming.
Jamini Roy.
You're very bad at damsharads and mouthing words. Okay.
That's why.
Whatever. I'm enjoying this.
That's why I'm not an actor. Jimmy Choo.
Jimmy Choo?
Yes. Icon.
Iconic.
Yes. Well done. That's awesome. We have a very beautiful hamper prepared by one of our brand partners, Hybec, especially for you. So,
Wow.
yes, come.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Let's get back into this beautiful conversation. Could you tell me a little bit about your journey with Dior?
Oh my God, that was a life-altering experience, you know, and I've had a few of those. Yeah. So I was exporting fashion accessories for many years. I started with Harrods evening bags, and before that it was actually crochet bags. I got this random inquiry that can you make crochet bags, like 300 crochet bags, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. No idea who was going to make those crochet bags. I just want to interrupt
you. Earlier you said you don't like doing things you're not sure you can do, and you basically have done everything randomly. You're saying yes to everything.
Yeah, I'm like, crochet bags? I'm sure I know someone who can do the crochet bags. It's crazy. It's an Italian company, so of course it's super difficult. And I swear I didn't sleep, you know, for like a month because I was so stressed out as to how I'm going to actually do this, you know, because it's a very disorganized, crochet is a very, you know, there's these women in villages and, you know, I mean, it's not an organized trade. I mean, it was worse then. Now people have them in, you know, in-house. It's part of organizations, companies.
And a proper payroll.
Yeah. But those days, I mean, saying, you know, bache, you know, bimar hai, so I haven't done it. I'm like, okay, is he okay? But can I have the bag? You know, it was like literally like that. So, but anyway, I managed, like I have everything else, and 300 bags. And I said, okay, so I started designing bags, and I've always had this creative urge and all this fashion and accessories is, I think, like even today, Karan, what I'm doing, like home accessories. Accessories is so important. You know, you can wear a plain black dress, carry a really cool bag, and that just does it. You put it, sling it around, or you carry it on your shoulder, a little clutch in the evening. So, you know, I know, because also mixed with fashion and what I think I would like, and what, I mean, I still, with my Rezon, I make things that I want, you know, but it's just that, okay, I would love these evening clutches, and those days, I'm talking about many years ago, like almost 2 decades ago, like I wanted beautiful clutches. So I just wrote to Harrods, and I found an email address from somewhere saying, sure, show us. So I sent them a whole presentation saying, we love it. I sent a sample, and you know, those days wasn't easy. Someone was going to London, just say, please carry this for me and make sure it gets deposited, and this friend of mine was very sweet, did it. And they gave me an order of 40 bags. Wow. So 10 each on the Harrods label, and I designed these beautifully embroidered evening clutches. Wow. And that really gave me such a kickstart to boost the fact that, okay, let's do this. I'm obviously Harrods evening bags, and I can do this. So then I went on, of course, to, you know, doing, you know, bigger and you know, and better through the years. I was very fortunate, and I randomly wrote to Zara, and I said, you know, can I come and see you all? And I got an appointment. Okay. Wow. You can't do these things anymore, I feel, but I was super lucky. And I went, and Inditex, my God, like I've seen that from where it was, say, 30 years ago to where it is now, and their office, and my God, it was something else, you know. And then I wrote to Mango the same way, and they said, okay, come meet us. And Inditex, a buyer attached to it, and I've supplied to like Betsy Johnson. I had this amazing agent in New York called Mas. It was this crazy Dutch guy, and he's still such a good friend of mine, and he got me amazing stuff to do. So Ralph Lauren, you know, I did these belts for Ralph Lauren. I did Betsy Johnson bags. I worked with Antique Batik with my friend Christophe Sava, which was some of the most beautiful and creative bags that I've done, but he's a genius, and he sold it later. But that was Paris. And I was so lucky. I got appointments, and obviously, you know, you're as good as your product, Karan.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can be charming, you can be sweet, you can be funny, you can be anything. It will help you put your foot through the door. And this is what I always tell people. I'm not lucky. I have been lucky, yes, definitely luck has a lot to do with it, but I'm as good as my product. That is key. You are only as good as your product. I could have sustained that business, say whether it's Zara, whether it's whoever else I worked with, I could have sustained it. I remember in Paris I went to meet these agents of mine, and then the 2 suitcases full of samples and packed them back. There were 3 guys helping me, and then they opened the door saying to help me to a cab, and then they said, "We're on the 3rd floor. How did you come up? Because the lift's not working." And I'm like, they're like, "No, you're joking." I'm like, "How else do you think I came up?" He's like, "Why did you call us?" I said, I just didn't, but that's me. Like, firstly, I hate taking obligations of any sort.
And plus the French.
The French, they were very sweet guys. They couldn't believe it. They're like, "You're strong." I said, So it just that you do what you have to do. And it was, those were the years that kind of culminated, whether it was Indian Express, running for magazines, my exporting fashion accessories. So one understood from the drawing board to the time it went to the shelf in a store. So all these experiences that I've had, marketing with Oberoi Hotel, sales and marketing, which is my core really. I can sell sand to the Arabs, but again, what kind of sand? If you have the best sand, yes. When I met this guy from Dior, and this friend of mine was like, Dior's opening, and John Galliano was my mood board for my export days when I was, he's just like the god for me, god of fashion, amongst 2-3 others, but Galliano was always there. And I said, Dior, nice, it's the opening in Delhi. But I was going through like a separation and divorce. It's obviously, I don't really get into details, but it's never pleasant, never nice. I just want to go home to my daughter. Tyra was so small, and before she slept, I just wanted to be there, give her dinner or read her a story before bed. And that was my biggest struggle, to get home. 3 days a week I couldn't. 4 days a week I couldn't, because export, and because I had to work 18 hours a day, That hasn't stopped. And then I met this guy from Dior who was opening Dior, and we started, it was a coffee which turned into lunch, and it was a very cute French guy, and I'm like, geez, should I have met him earlier? But anyway, and just like a Spanish Inquisition. And then he told me, saying, I didn't realize he was the one pushing my friend to meet me. We hadn't met before. He's saying, everywhere I go, there's only one name that comes up, and that's yours. And I'm like, really? Like, okay, whatever. And he, it was for 6-7 months, and this conversation, and then he said, listen, just come to Paris, see what it's like, meet the team, meet everyone, and just take it up from there. And whether you want to do it or not. Because I had a full-fledged business. I also had a little daughter, and my personal situation. I don't want to get stuck in like a 9-to-5 job, for example. I used to just, bundle Tyra into the car. We used to just drive out to Jaipur, spend the weekend there, and just like eat and kind of travel with her when I wanted to go to Calcutta to meet my parents. So, I had that freedom, and I didn't want that curbed. And I had montage arts, which I'd already started. So I didn't want, now, and I had a pretty reasonably successful business, exporting, and it was hard enough traveling and leaving Tyra behind and all that stuff. So I'm like, this, Dior is serious business, But this was like a Spanish Inquisition, and he asked me, he said, and I had an answer for everything. And he's saying, I don't know anyone who has this knowledge of the process, and has a knowledge of the Indian market like you do, and you understand. Also, being a consumer. It was surreal, because the first luxury brand of anything I bought with my own money was a Lady Dior bag. And it just I love the brand, and for everything it stood for, especially what Galliano, it was amazing. And look at the history of the brand. But the fact is that when I went to Paris, I had this bar jacket which I had just got, I asked my sister to get it for me. And I remember this bag, this flight bag, which just stayed for one season. Nobody saw it ever again. It was so funny. But I had that bag. It was brand new, and this bar jacket. I went to Tarun Tahiliani. I said, Tarun, I need something to wear with this jacket. He said, oh my God, look at that jacket. It's amazing. I said, yeah, but I need this. I said, I need it in 3 days because I'm going to Paris. He's saying, oh, okay, nice. I said, okay, you can't tell anyone, but I'm going for this. I'm going to meet the Dior people. He's saying, no way. Come on, let's kill it. And so I always tell him that he's my lucky mascot. Also someone who made my trousseau. The marriage didn't last, but the clothes are still there. And then, so he made me this pencil skirt with this Dior jacket. And I remember these boots. I wanted to buy boots with it because it was a nice look. It was Zara boots, you know, and I also really like spending money at Zara. I still do because it's like paisa vasool, but also
that will never end.
That'll never end because honestly, because that's how you mix brands. It's kind of cool, and also I was doing so much business with them, so I felt good. So I went trotting off to Paris, and I had this meeting with my president at that time, Sydney Toledano, who's absolutely wonderful. And I think I had a 10-minute meeting actually on his schedule. I spent like 2 hours with him. And then one of the first questions he asked me, like, so do you know Aishwarya Rai? And I'm like, I actually do. And it was really funny because she's such an icon, you know, like her face is like plastered all over Paris even now. And he had just met her at the Marrakesh Film Festival or something, completely fascinated with her, like we all are still. Then he took me to the atelier, which I later realized was it's the most hallowed part of the house. Nobody goes there. Like you can't enter the atelier unless you're Anna Wintour or similar or whatever. And then the couture week had just gotten over, so there are all these couture dresses in the showroom, and he's like, oh, look at this. And I'm like, I don't know, embroidery, I mean, that doesn't impress me. And like, it's probably half of it from India, you know. He's like, ha ha ha. I said, but this construction, you know, we make 6-yard saris, you know, like this construction is something, you know, it's just absolutely, I mean, till today I look at constructions of clothes, and it's just, I went to the Vivienne Westwood show yesterday, and you know, you see, like I was wearing this Vivienne Westwood dress, and then, you know, it's just the fit, the construct, the way the tailoring is just on another level. It's gorgeous. Anyway, when I was at the atelier, I saw John Galliano walk by through a glass door. That's when my heart stopped beating. You know, so you meet people, famous people, you know, I work with Bollywood, and it's always lovely to meet these, you know, lovely stars and everything. But for me, Galliano, I'll never forget the first time I met him. I'd recently met Pier Paolo, who's like another amazing designer. Such a fangirl moment. I think I was blabbering away when I met him. But you know, these are people, you know, when you come to like, or an artist, for example, for me, these are my heroes, you know, these are my icons, you know. Dior was just the most, and they were so good to me. They were so kind to me. They're like, you want to carry on your business? Carry on your business. Do you know that the Dior showroom for 4 years was in my factory in Noida, in my export, when I was exporting? When Sonam Kapoor came for her fittings for Aisha, because you know that her first film with Ria, Sonam, they were in my factory. And Tahira was still sitting on the floor. I had a cameo, by the way, in Aisha, and Anil Kapoor cut it out. Yeah, I don't know why. It was at the Dior boutique. So I did such fun stuff. I mean, the Lady Dior bags were sold out, you know, at that time. And so I could do this also with the relationships, you know. I mean, Ria and I were talking the other day. I said, do you know how much we've been through, like in terms of like now Sonam's a Dior ambassador, one of the faces of Dior. So, you know, it started from there. And shows together, and all these girls like Natasha Poonawala, everyone, you know, you see, we've all gone through our journeys, and the way Condé Nast and Hearst and all this happened after Dior came in. So we've all kind of grown together. You know, the editors, the ex-editors, whatever, we're all friends since then. You know what I mean?
So seen each other's journeys, basically.
Seen each other's journeys, and that till today there's a relationship. Today I'm with Golden Goose, and kind of, you know, that's another thing I also do, consultation for luxury brands. And you know, everyone's just so helpful, and everyone's so nice about the fact that, oh, you're doing it. Also, it's a great brand. You know what I mean? Let's not kid ourselves. You have to, it's not that I'm like,
the product matters.
Yeah, the product matters, and I would never associate myself. So that's another thing I learned, you know. So Dior was a huge learning. The kind of international, I mean, how the roses had to be 6 inches, and the petals had to be 1.5 inches, and just it had to be straight. I mean, it was every little thing, the presentations, the fine tuning. It was amazing.
That's what makes them who they are.
Learning. It's a
Yeah.
learning, and God really is in the details. That's why I'm so inner till today with my own brand, you know.
Yeah.
And then what the naked eye can't see, if I have seen it, I am not going to sell it to you, and you probably won't see it, by the way.
Yeah.
You probably won't. So it's very frustrating sometimes, because actually I just feel like nobody has my eye, so I get down to nitty-gritties in my with production, and especially with finished products, and I'll like look at a box which is made out of MDF, like, you know, these wooden boxes of packaging, and I'll say, I don't like the joint, which is, but it's a natural looking thing, and see what is the wood, and I said, but I don't like it, so like let's get another one, you know, like I'm like that anal about every little thing.
And it makes a huge difference.
really
Like
does.
the packaging, the way it comes, it automatically adds value to the product itself. It's a huge
No, massive. And I learned
Yeah.
all this at Dior, you know. I learned how the paper had to be like folded in a certain
Yeah.
way inside, and how the ribbon is tied on the box. I mean, this is also what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what true luxury is.
Yeah.
You know, Victor Castellan, I remember the Dior jewelry designer. I was so fortunate to meet all these people on a one-to-one basis. And I remember Nonita Kalra doing an interview for Elle magazine at that time with her, and she was showing us this ring. The inside of the ring had these two diamonds. You can't see them from outside,
inside.
which she took 2 years to source. Okay? This is what luxury is.
Yeah.
Nobody can see those diamonds, but I know that they're there,
And
how
that adds
precious
value
they
to
are.
it,
And
right?
that for me is true luxury. And that's why today I hate logos. I can't stand branding, you know, which is screaming branding. Like I can't bear it. I think that really is true luxury. You know, that whole raw mentality. I mean, they become iconic because. I mean, look what they do. They don't. They have these shows. They don't allow photographs, and it was a huge learning
curve for you. Yeah.
curve for me.
You went from order of crochet bags to Dior. I did not expect that to lead to Dior that quickly. That escalated really quickly.
That escalated very quickly.
And while we're talking about your journey, let's now talk about Rezon.
Yes.
Which is like a beautiful baby that you have launched, and the products are absolutely incredible. So tell us a little bit about it and the journey towards it.
As calculated as my life seems to be, it's all a matter of circumstances, and it's all a matter of the moment. It's just things just magically happen, and I'm so truly blessed for it.
Have you seen the movie Lemony Snicket's and a series of unfortunate events?
Really?
It's such a cute movie. You must
Oh
watch
my
it
God,
if you
I
have the
must
time.
watch
It's a lovely movie. It's got Jim Carrey in it, and that movie is very similar to what you're talking about. It's just that everything happens based on a circumstance, and it, like, I mean, you're going with the flow. You're letting things happen.
Yeah, my life in general, you know, and
your life is a film.
It's a film. Yes, so I started Razon. To quickly give you why did I start Razon? I have no idea, but I did, and I basically started Razon because, you know, I mean, I was after I left Dior, I went into an e-commerce brand which I launched, and corporate gifts. If I haven't told you,
Corporate gifting.
Corporate gifting.
Yeah, we have
was
it.
something I did when I left Oberoi Hotels. And I started because I was in the leather city of Madras, so I used to do leather, canvas, and I got this again, a friend of mine, you have such good ideas, I need to give corporate gifts, one of Vijay Mallya's companies at that time, UB. And I said, yeah, sure, and I made this series which they loved, and because of my contacts in Madras, because they were all my accounts, I had the cream of accounts in Oberoi Hotels, all the leather guys, and 100% export, they don't do anything locally, but they always say, what do you want, like, just do it, you know, kind of a situation, like some, you know, kid who's just being indulged. So I'm like, I was very happy. So I made these amazing stuff, international quality. So that like started, that was also a bit something I did, by the way. So coming back, we were looking at stuff, and everyone always wants silver. Now see, silver is a very auspicious metal for us Indians. There's silver and gold, of course, but silver. So whether it's births, whether it's anniversaries, whether it's any special occasion, you let your little baby silver thalis or silver cup or even a spoon or whatever, or like a silver frame, you know, etc. And I just thought that there was a gap in the market for gifting in general. I'm a person who loves gifting. I love receiving as well, but I love gifting, literally. Nothing gives me more joy, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole art of giving, I write the note myself. I'll never send flowers. I mean, unless it's long distance, sometimes you can't. But I always write a handwritten note, even if it's fun. I'll make sure that my driver goes to the florist to drop that card before sending, so that personalization.
It changes
and
everything.
Gift, yeah. And I've always been interested in interiors. So, like, I have over 1900 SKUs, which is staggering and a bit foolish, honestly, to run a business like that. I have caviar bowls. I mean, when I was making it, I'm saying, caviar bowls, ma'am? And I'm like, yeah, because I want one. And you clearly don't get it. I have the best bar sets because I like good bar sets. Where do you get bar sets? You just don't. So from a thali to a cigar holder, because I have cigar smoking friends, so I made some for them, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I literally have everything. My entry point is 5,000 rupees. And this is a, you think that's expensive? Seriously? No, it's not. So
it's not.
So it's like, from a lot of silver plating now, because silver is so expensive. So I really understand the pulse of the market as well. I have a good sense of aesthetics. Nobody's doing what I'm doing with Rezon. My design sensibilities, my product line, ask me if I have a product.
Do you have a candle holder?
About 56 of them.
What?
Yeah.
What about photo frames?
It's my highest selling product, photo frames,
yeah.
and as boring as it is, it's the safest gift to give. And a fun fact is frames are the most popular gifting item worldwide. It's a fun fact.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, I have so many photo frames, and they're my highest selling products. So I just like baby things to housewarming gifts. I kind of think like, okay, if I had to go to someone's housewarming for an anniversary or for a birthday. So I do a lot of personalization as well. So I mean, in very cute ways now, everyone does it. But I've kind of started a lot of things. I've added lights to my,
I saw it.
the collaborations I've had this year have been absolutely brilliant. So chandeliers now, from a product line which is already there, two very popular product lines. One is the tropical product. So I'm very inspired by nature. I love nature. So there's always, you'll see, like, I'm obsessed with elephants, for example, and horses, and so I have a lot of animals in my, whether it's these. The only thing which is outsourced, which is not made by bees, of these semi-precious stones I use a lot of, which come from Jaipur. They're specially cut by 3 people only who can do certain things. So, there's a lot of thought process. It's very, very technical. Flat sheet of metal hammered into everything that you see, my product line, I mean, nobody really is doing what I'm doing. And Rushad Shroff, who I have so much admiration for what he does and his design sensibility. We made this chess set together, and it's just one of the best things I've done. It's just it's come out so beautiful. Again, it's like I showed at the India Art Fair, where I always have a booth, and they have a section for institutions, and it's just so amazing that art is also the India Art Fair, and where it's gone, it's just so brilliant. I had the first booth, of course, prime location, and I have these pieces which are pieces of art. They are so sculptural. So I take inspiration from my travels. I take inspiration from art, like Bauhaus you were talking about, like architecture, art. I have like so much, like Art Deco, periods, of Art Deco. I have neoclassical, I have classic, I have very Indian, like, the murtis, etc. But it's a bit modern. It is a bit modern, but it'll go into any home, So, and there's also such a variety of things which nobody has. Honestly, I work really hard for R&D, and I have this whole fashion cycle in my head. So if you come back to my store after 2-3 months, you must see something new. But there are Lady Dior bags there which carry on every season. So I have my safari collection, and it's one of my highest selling collections with these jade elephants, and everyone loves them. So obviously those are my Lady Dior situations that they might change shapes and colors, but they carry on. So it's kind of, I have this whole fashion cycle. So that is something. So you can't be stagnant, or you can't be complacent. I started my boutique March 2020. I still have a video somewhere on my Instagram, you know, saying, we'll be back end of the month. Health is wealth. No health, no wealth. I mean, basta, you know. So 2 years. I mean, I used to run into the, you know, boutique, and I've done weddings. Can you imagine those? You know, there's little breaks we had where we could get the workers back to work. I mean, everyone was like, oh, we just want to get back to work. You know, I used to call my cardigans and say, हाँ madam, आ जाएंगे. And this is another thing. I have built such a beautiful community within the infrastructure that I have is very small. I'm just happy that people come every morning with a smile on their face. And I have built up, I mean, they're my family. They've seen me through so much, and they're just there for me, and that's my biggest asset. I mean, I may be small, it doesn't matter, but I'm a debt-free company, I'm self-funded. It's this whole Bengali thing of never borrowing anything, you know. I just feel incredibly proud of that. I feel incredibly proud of the fact that they are proud to say that they work with Rezon. Rezon actually belongs to all of them. You can't do anything on your own, you know. So I'm really blessed, and I think that is really important to build a beautiful work environment.
Thank you so much for that incredible insight into your life and your journey and all of this. Before we wrap up,
I've barely let you speak, Karan, though.
No, but that's the whole point. It's about you. I'm here just to get you to...
I love that. It's all about me.
It is. So before we wrap up, we'll play one last game, okay?
Sure.
So now we're going to play rapid fire, and I'm going to ask you some fun questions, and you got to answer them quickly. Okay? You've built an enviable career in fashion and luxury. What advice would you give your younger self just starting out?
No advice, actually. I think my life should actually be an example.
Yeah.
Lovely.
How do you personally define success at this stage in your life?
Success has so many meanings, Karan. Honestly, many more miles to go.
Lovely.
Many more things to achieve, and I'm not stopping very soon.
I'm glad. What's one thing people assume about your life that isn't true?
It's honestly Instagram versus reality.
What is a misconception people have about luxury branding that you wish more entrepreneurs understood?
You know, I just feel you need to be a consumer of luxury to even understand what luxury is all about. It's as simple as that. No school or college can teach you that.
You have to consume.
You have to be a consumer.
If you could redesign one iconic fashion piece, what would it be?
I mean, if they're iconic already, I wouldn't want to redesign it.
Fair enough. If your design philosophy were a novel, what would the opening line be?
She lived.
Wow. A single piece of decor that feels like poetry.
I think a flower vase.
You're giving such romanticized answers.
Van Gogh, sunflower, vase.
You have 10 minutes to redesign the Joan of Arc's outfit to wear to war. What's she wearing?
Leather, baby.
Nice. Would you rather have a wardrobe curated by Karl Lagerfeld or a home designed by Lee Corp?
Definitely a homegrown brand, because there's so much happening here, and there's so much talent, and these young designers sometimes don't get the kind of importance or the platform because they don't have the funding to be in a part of things that you need to be part of, which is kind of sad.
If you had to swap lives with a historic designer for a day, who are you picking, and what's the first thing you're changing about their work?
Wow. You know, it's so easy to criticize someone's work. There was a time when there was actual critics which were writing actually in India, and people would get very upset. Now every show is incredible. Every show is amazing. There's no critiquing as such, you know. Even bad shows, because even internationally, if you see, because advertising is so high that no one will say anything negative.
It's a fear of being ostracized.
It's fear of being ostracized. You will not get called for that show again and taken for some fancy trip somewhere. But the fact is that it's very easy to criticize. There is so much work that goes into making a collection. Whether it's my collection every Diwali that I have, and I have a new collection every year. Whether it's the designers who make 6 to 8 collections a year, because there's so many seasons now. I feel that it is really unfair to kind of criticize anything that someone has made with their very best of their creativity. It's as simple as that.
That's lovely.
Sustainability has become a hashtag today. Okay, we all talk about sustainability so much. How much are we actually walking the talk? None of us are. Okay, the thing is that now, say, vintage has become a big fashion moments that we are going through, digging up vintage clothes, and I feel that we really need to take a stock of this. Why do fashion houses have to have 6 seasons? Why do they have to have these shows and spend millions of dollars on a show for 20 minutes? You know, look at the carbon footprint. It is staggering. And what are these fashion houses who are talking most about sustainability doing about it? Why do you need to have so many shows? Why do you need to have so many seasons? Why do you need to have so many collections? It's such a waste.
Thank you so much. And before we wrap, would you like to address our audiences and give a little bit of a piece of advice to young entrepreneurs, businesswomen, or anybody out there?
Yeah. One of the most important messages that I repeated myself over and over again with to not just young girls, but any woman out there. One is, it's never too late. You want to start something which may have been a passion at some stage of your life, you want to hone a skill, just do it. It doesn't matter because you've been a wife, you've been a mother and saying, oh, let my daughter get married. Listen, you owe it to yourself. And I think this is a very, very, very important message I have for all women, especially women at my age in their 50s, and they're like thinking, is it too late? But how? Don't think how, just do it, because if you have the will, you literally have a way out of it. The second thing is, and the most important for me, we women, our only superpower is our financial independence. No matter whose daughter you are, who your husband is, who your father-in-law is, you don't know where life is going to take you. And I'm talking about my own personal journey. Even though I may come from privilege, I always had a thought behind my back. I borrowed 5 lakhs from my father. I gave him back a check. He was very upset, but I think he respects me so much because I know I can have it when I want to, but most people may not have that privilege. But if I wasn't financially independent, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. And this is something of, I think, is paramount. And stop being lazy, young people. Work hard, because this is the only time that you can. Gosh, I'm still doing it. There's nothing that compensates hard work, trust me. There's always, it's going to take fruition, and beautifully so.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching Season 3, Episode 6 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Designed. Brought to you by brand partners Hybec, Kitchen Studio and Turquoise. See you soon.
That is very difficult.
Wife, hair, family, mother, mom.
Think about it.
Goddess.
What the